So we have freezing rain falling, and I'm not sure if it is visible on the video or not, but it definitely makes our going back and forward to the shop much harder. Maybe it can be seen here on the when we're looking at the black cover of the grill. But as you can see, it covers everything and adds a lot of time to our project. Hello friends, and welcome to another episode of the Urban Homesteading channel, Freezing North Carolina edition. If this is the first time you're visiting with us, we want to extend to you a very warm welcome. If you've been here before, welcome back. If today is your birthday, I want to wish you a very happy birthday. So today, I'm back in the closet. We are going to attempt to finish our project that we started last week. And if you have not seen that project, go back and watch it. Also watch our Wednesday episode in which we explain in detail how we did the wiring, the electrical wiring to bring power into the closet. We hope that this is going to be the second and last episode of this build. But stick around and see if we're going to have a third one, I guess. We don't know. So because we're in a closet, there is trim here. And there are a couple of ways you can deal with trim. Some people remove it and make it like they put wall here. How do you call it? It's like they put drywall. Mm-hmm. So they completely remove the trim. We do not want to do that because we want to give the option to a future owner to put the doors back on, or who might decide to put the doors back on, right? Mm-hmm. So this leaves us with a problem because the trim, of course, protrudes about this much. This is the technical distance. Mm-hmm. This much, right? From the wall. So we have to solve this problem. One way is, of course, to cut the trim, but this is not a very good way because if you decide to convert it back to a closet, this will look ugly. I mean, you have a chunk of trim missing. So this is not the option we're going to go with.
Even being inside the closet, that's not
right. It is not a nice option.
Right.
To be honest, if we knew for sure this is our forever home, I would exercise the option of removing at least the inside trim because this is a different piece, right? This is not one whole piece.
Right.
But we chose not to go with this option, so we're going to show you, we're going to give you a couple of more options possible, and we're going to show you how we decide to deal with it. So we start by setting a stop block because in this construction, we're going to have many pieces that are going to be the same size, right? And one of the tips that I want to give you in case you didn't know it, most every measuring tape will have in one of the two sides a little writing that will make it much easier to measure inside dimensions, right? Mm-hmm. And that writing will tell you what is the width of this in essence, right? Mm-hmm. So then you can butt the back to one wall and the other on the other and have the exact dimension without having to add or subtract or bend the tape. That always gives you a mistake, right? Mm-hmm. So if you have to use a tape, and in this case we do, this is the best way to do it, right?
Okay.
All right. And this is rinse and repeat, right? In our case, we're going to do that 18 times because we're going to have 4 surfaces, one for the desk and 4 shelves. So actually we need 2 more. We didn't count the desk, those are just the shelves. So on a project like this, you need to take an assembly line approach. Otherwise it will take much longer, right? Mm-hmm. So we have our 20 pieces that we need to start building the frames for both the desk and our shelving units, right? Mm-hmm. This is all the wood that we had. So we need to go and procure some more wood to continue the build. So we combined 2 of our boards because the width of our desk needs to be bigger than 12 inches, and those are 12 inches boards, right? Mm-hmm. So we simply use pocket screws and and glue. We're going to have to wait for the glue to dry, but as you can see, if you come here, because these boards are made this way, you know, it is nice. It is not a very evident connection, right?
Because you've already got the seams showing
right
where the other pieces were.
And we have our big body working today because it is freaking cold in North Carolina. Mm-hmm. So we're going to let this dry, and we're going to go and start building the infrastructure for the whole office, right? So we installed our first support, and this is the critical one because everything else will be based on this, right? And you need to be on stands here. This is going to carry a lot of weight. And we hope there is a stud in between. We have 2 screws, as you see now. And we hope there is a stud in between as well, so we have at least 3 screws.
And you can see we have it level.
So that is important that it's level. The average desk height is between 30 and 32 inches, and we're right in that range, right? So those are the important dimensions there.
Okay.
And yes, go ahead.
And this is just to orient you, this is the left side of our closet office space, and so this is the very first support beam, and then this is where coming back this way is the length of it.
Okay, so now we're going to set the other ones the same way. We're going to try to see if there is a stud in between.
Okay.
All right. So this is the tricky part. We did the first frame, and in our closet we don't have a lot of spaces to have screws, so we only have 2 per wall, right? Because there are no studs. The distance is only 22 inches, which means that there is only 2 studs in each corner, right? And now, because this is our ledger for everything, the next thing we need to do is we need to start attaching the bigger box, right? So we're going to do that. The process is the same. You use screws. You don't need glue here, right? You're making a frame.
Okay.
So here we are, and the progress is we're making rectangulars, right?
Rectangulars,
Yeah.
as
Parallelograms.
in frames.
And it is important because this will be a desk, and on the shelves that we find the studs, and we did. So we use a stand finder. It's down there on the floor. So use whatever stand finder you have. We're not really
That's our stud finder, the one that we have.
we're not really giving a endorsement here of stand finders, but it is important you're on studs, right? So as you can see now, we have 2 frames made. We're going to make another one that's going to go here on the side.
And explain why we have done it this way.
Because we don't want visible supports for the desk, right?
Right, but another reason that we did this is because we started here to make this our like set point, and we wanted to make sure that we were completely level across rather than trying to remeasure here and possibly being a little bit off and making the desk uneven.
Right, everything references on that, as I said when we were first
Right.
building.
This
that
is our
first square references everything else. That's
Right, so that's why we're coming across and not doing side to side and then fitting in the middle
Right.
frame.
And then by attaching the 2 frames, we increase the strength of the whole thing, right? Because the towards the wall we don't have a stud, so we needed to add strength to this.
Right, so you can see the last stud is there. We, for some reason, do not have another stud in this area. We've tried to find one and did not, and so these 2 boards here have been joined, as you can see, with the screws there to help add some additional strength. You can see that we found studs back in that corner there, and then also on this side likewise.
All right. So here we are. We finished the first level, which in essence will be the desktop, right? And now this is the hardest part. You need to make sure that it is level throughout, right? Because now the rest of it will ledger off this, right? We're going to make storyboards, the correct dimensions to build the shelves. So this is the very hard part of the construction. I wouldn't say the hard part of the construction, right?
The hardest piece of it.
Right, so hopefully, I say it will go faster, but from this point, we should use storyboards and go all the way up and we'll be in good shape.
Okay.
All right. Back out at the cold because we need to rip our desktop out of 24 inches to 22 inches, which is the depth of our closet. So we cannot be any bigger than that, right? So we're setting up our old saw, and the reason we're doing that is because I've not used the new saw yet, so I don't know how it feels. This is a reasonably challenged cut because it's a very long board, and I want to know, I need to have the feel of the saw, right? That's why I'm not using the new saw, because I would love to use it. I'm going to use the old saw because I know how it feels when I cut it.
Okay.
So we're going to cut it and we'll show you the outcome. It is finally taking shape. We brought the top of the, well, we get the top of the desk, and it is already in place. It is not finished, of course. And we're going to proceed. We're going to, of course, put wood there. It's almost going to look like a farm house table. So we're going to change the orientation.
Okay, so the grain's gonna
Right.
go across it.
So we'll give it a little more interest.
Mm-hmm. And so, did we tell them what we did with this?
What did we do? I don't know.
We had to rip it down to the 20 inches.
Yeah, I think we said
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
Because we had to double, those are 12 inches wide, each of the piece we bought. So we had to double it. And of course, one of the problems here is that this is an old house, irrelevant, even a brand new house, no wall is straight, no distance is square. I mean,
Right.
you're going to have to fight with that. And overall, I think
So.
it was not too bad for us.
Right.
But,
So there's some slight deviations in the measurements, but overall, it's a very nice fit for here. Right?
Yeah, I think so. Mrs. Wizard?
Yep.
All right.
The next day.
So this is our current weather that complicates our project for the day because our cutting and a lot of the assembly has to happen outside, which is well below freezing, and as you can see, even more complicated because of snow and some freezing rain that's falling right now. So we're going to do our best, right, Mrs. Wizard?
That's it. Do what we can do.
So we're working inside because it is freezing rain outside, and we are building the boxes that they are going to eventually support the shelves that they're inside the closet. Let us show you one that we did here. As you can see, we have built one and attached it already. And in order to do this the easiest way, we're using spacers. We want the shelves to be about, what was it, 12 inches in difference, so we do not have to level everything. That's why when we did the first, it took us a long time to do this because we wanted it to be the reference point, right?
Right.
So we needed everything to be level.
So we're using storyboards to
Right.
make the height.
So I
and
can-
also, we need to allow for the thickness of the
Right.
desktop. So we have to use a spacer for that.
And the reason we do pilot holes is because this is reasonably thin wood, and we do not want to risk splitting it. Even though this is not going to be ever seen, we still want to avoid to split it.
Yeah.
Now, if it does split, it's not a disaster, right?
No. But it does, perhaps take out a little bit of the structural integrity if it splits.
I think like everything we're building, this is overbuilt, but that's okay.
And we're good with that.
So here we show you our process. We use a scrap piece from our desktop because that gives us the thickness of the desktop, and also we're using the same type of material for our shelving, so that gives us the thickness of the shelving. And then we have cut 12-inch pieces, as you can see here. And those pieces are going to give us the correct distance. We want the shelves to be 12 inches apart, right?
Right.
And then it is a rinse and repeat. We make those boxes and we go up. And we are going to have 3 shelves. This one will stop there, it's not going to wrap around, right?
Right.
And then the other 2 will wrap around all the way.
Right.
That's the intent right now. So once we set this up, we put one of our pieces there. Now we are in the correct distance and level, right?
Yep.
And then we're going to make our box and we're going to put it in that location.
So once we have the process down, we've built the first box, we've attached it and made that measurement that's going to support a portion of the desk. We're making another one for a shelf, and we're going to continue the process by making boxes at the correct interval to go all the way up, and we're going to have 3 shelves total. 2 of them wrapping all the way around this back wall.
So not counting the problems with the weather today, the project is moving along, and we have completed our shelving, as you can see here. And in fact, we are ready to install the support for the long shelves, right?
Yep.
This is most definitely a multi-day project. You cannot finish that in one day. And we didn't have a lot of difficulties, but like anything in any house, nothing is square and perfect, right?
Right.
So some percussive persuasion is needed on this project. And we have the big one there with the American flag, you know, made in America. But the key is to know when you need to do that and when not to do that. I mean, don't start banging things. You can break things, but sometimes you have
It's
to.
not demolition.
Right. But as you can see, it starts taking shape, and we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So we're now attaching the frame of one of the shelves, and we are pre-drilling. Miss Wizard had already pre-drilled there, and we're going into studs, so we know we're going to have a secure connection to those shelves, right?
Right.
All right. And as you can see, we also have screws attached to the shelves, so this is going to be a very, very strong shelf, right?
Yep.
Okay. Now we're going to complete this, and we're going to use the same process for the second shelf.
Yep.
And we are reaching the end of this.
Very useful
Other than
tool.
things, we have a laser on our level, and since we spent a lot of time yesterday to find where the studs are on our ledger boards here, all we have to do is set our laser there, and it puts a beam that then we know exactly where we need to make our drill and put our new what do you call it, our new screw. This is definitely not a required, but it is a nice thing to have.
It's a really fast way to find your studs. You have to find them the first time, right?
Right.
With the stud finder, but then you can use your same placeholder.
And Mrs. Wizard today has been the expert in carpentry, right?
I would say.
All right, friends, and we've reached the finish of our build. As you can see, the desktop is on. Mrs. Wizard needs to finish staining, right?
Mm-hmm. Putting the face on it.
And we're going to do that. And we are considering if we're going to do the same stain on the shelves or not. And I think we decided we will.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we were thinking of putting a three shelves, but as you can see, that doesn't really make sense, right?
Right.
Because with this
because-
here, it will be very hard to do
Yeah,
anything.
even though the shelf is kind of shallow, it still doesn't make a lot of sense to put another one up there. You wouldn't have a whole lot to put up there in that small space anyway.
And here, this is not a mistake, it's just that this has a bow. As you see, when I put it down, it closes, right? You see?
Uh-huh.
So this is something we're going to address with some brad nailing, creative brad nailing, right? Or actually, when you put weight on it, it's going to come down, which is what they're supposed to do,
Yeah.
right? They're supposed to. Now, a few things we want to say. As you can see, we do have we have the power here, and it works. So very happy about this. We only have to do a couple of things. If you want to come there, you can show that the little farm style connection, and we're going to stain that as well.
Yep.
But we have very nice tight connections everywhere. If you go there, when it's stained, it's going to look perfect, I think. Right?
Yep.
The last thing, I'm going to put a grommet here with power and USB
Mm-hmm.
at some later point. Unfortunately, the weather did a trick on us, right? We had a hard time with the weather because we had to go out and do things, and our shop is fairly small. So trying to stay warm and finish the project was a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
And that's the reason we have not finished it. But I think you can see enough to get a good idea of what it's supposed to look like, right?
Yep. And we can always post pictures after we get it completely stained and
Yeah,
finished.
we
It's,
will.
you know, it's all showered and ready to go, except you're gonna need to put some makeup on it.
And anyway, here, Miss Wizard and I have a little difference of opinion. I would have liked this either left as it is now or painted white. Miss Wizard, and it is her desk, so she does whatever she wants with it. Miss Wizard wants to have everything stained this color. But this is always a matter of personal choice, right?
Right.
You can make them all white. It depends on the color you have chosen in the back.
You can make them blue, you can make them purple, you
Right.
can make them whatever.
These are very strong shelves. We can put books on this. I mean, as you can see, I put a lot of stress that doesn't even give.
Right.
So we are very confident that this is a good situation, and it really gave us a lot of storage, right? I mean, look at all this
A
space.
lot of storage.
And here we are. You see our laptop there again. We haven't finished staining that little piece, but we will do that. And we are going to stain everything, as we said before. But you can see we have 2 shelves, and we have storage on both of the alcoves, right?
Mm-hmm.
Overall, I think this is exactly what we were looking for, wouldn't you say, Miss Wizard?
Yes.
So we're very, very happy with how this turned. Well, friends, this is the end of our episode for today. And again, we're not 100% finished, but we did not want to have episode 3, right? In any case, I think you do see the project, how it will look.
Right.
It is just unfinished. The build is done. I think we've shown you everything we built. What do you think, Mrs. Wizard?
Yeah, I mean, we did a lot of the repeating process of making the frames to support the shelves, the shelf, cutting, and the pieces of making the desk. So I think we showed all the major parts. We'd repeated a lot of steps.
Right.
So we didn't show you all of that.
So there is a lot of recent repeat on this. In essence, it is building frames, right?
Yep.
As we've said in woodworking, most everything is building boxes.
Right.
And a frame is nothing but the box without the top and the bottom, right?
Right. And we did a very similar process when we put the shelves in our closet.
And also when we build the storage in the automotive set.
Yep.
So the same technique is refined. I mean, we use better quality lumber here. We didn't use dimensional lumber, which is our usual go-to. But even with nice quality lumber, our cost for this project is under $200.
Mm-hmm.
And it would be even cheaper if we didn't have to do the electrical work.
Right. Which added another
$50 or something.
Yeah,
I mean,
something to that nature.
the boxes was probably $5 or $6 everything, because the plate is very cheap, like 49 cents, I think. It's
Yeah.
very expensive.
And the receptacle is also very cheap.
And the Romex was $10. I mean, it was
Mhm.
very expensive. So yeah, I mean, you can be $50 cheaper if you have power. But here we didn't have power, and having cords around the room would probably drive Mrs. Wizard crazy. So
Yep.
they didn't want that. So and I think this is the right solution.
I think it's excellent. And like we said before, this lends itself to staying a space that you can hide away if you want to put the doors of the closet back on and really keep it, under wraps if you should have another need for this room.
Right. Well, folks, we hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you did, would appreciate a thumbs up. If you didn't, hit the other button twice. Share, like, subscribe. Let us know what else you might want to see in future episodes. And let us know if you enjoyed this build. From Dr. Wizard and Mrs. Wizard, stay safe, put your masks on, wash your hands, get vaccinated. So we're going to see you in our next episode. Farewell, friends.